might be him.
Look at this beauty. Anytime a man shows up wearing this hat, he's got stories to tell.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Marshall's Tomatoes. This is part 2 of our Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to teach you guys how to make a chicken stew. So I want to make my own chicken stock. Simple process. I'm going to cut a bell pepper in half, take the seeds out the middle of it. Very simple process. We're just doing this for flavor. We don't need the peppers cut up or anything like that. Just need them cut in half. Take them and put them in this pot of water. Nothing's gonna go to waste. This celery, I'm gonna use from this part out later on to make this stew. But this part is gonna go in here to make the chicken stock. This onion, I'm going to use the other half of it to make the stew. But one half of it is going to go in for the stock. My hands are a bit slippery right now. So I cut where it's not exactly in half, but I wanted the smaller end to make the stock. I wanted more onion to add with the stew. So all of those are going to go in there along with this chicken. Now this chicken, I'm going to cut it up, but I'm just cutting it into relatively large pieces because I'm going to debone it. Several of my kids don't like to eat chicken stew or chicken gumbo or anything of that nature if it has bones in it. So in order to appease them, I go ahead and debone the chicken. But for right now, just in making this stock, I'm going to just cut it into large pieces. I want to use every part of this chicken for this stock, including the spine. So I'm going to grab the spine away from the breast and just pull it apart. So all of that is going to go in there to be cooked together. I'm gonna split this breast in half. Pretty simple process, kind of similar to dispatching a lobster. Now, so you got your 2 leg quarters, you got your 2 breast quarters. In the pot they go, and the spine. All that goes in a pot with some salt. No other spices, just salt. Now a generous amount of salt. For any of you who have used chicken stock, you know that chicken stock is definitely salted. Put the lid on it. I'm going to seal the lid. I'm not going to leave a crack in it. I'm going to put it on a medium to medium low heat, a little more to the medium side of medium low. And I'm going to let this cook for a couple of hours until the chicken is tender and just falling off the bone. I'll take the chicken out, I'll drain it, let it cool off where I can mess with it with my hands, and then I'll debone the entire chicken. During that process, this pot will be cooling down where I can skim the fat off the top of it. Once all the fat is gone, the remainder of the fluid in the pot will be your chicken broth. So that's your chicken stock, chicken broth, chicken stock, however you want to term it. I'll pull all the vegetables out and I'll be left just with the liquid. We'll show you that process when it gets to that time, but we will utilize that chicken stock to make the chicken stew. So we'll see you then. Okay, so we've taken all the chicken out of the water that we were boiling to make the chicken stock. If you remember, we put a couple of bell peppers, the end of the celery, half an onion in it. We pulled the chicken out after it boiled for about 2 hours. We're gonna let it cool. While it is cooling, the broth itself is also cooling. Well, what will happen with the broth is all of the fat from the chicken will come to the top. I'm gonna be able to skim that off and have just pure, clean chicken stock. So that chicken stock is going to go into what we've decided now is not gonna be a chicken stew, but rather a chicken and sausage gumbo. A really good friend of mine reached out to me recently and asked that I do a chicken and sausage gumbo recipe. So we're gonna do a chicken and sausage gumbo. So just keep on following us along and we'll get all these things done. So in starting the chicken and sausage gumbo, there's the huge debate over, do you have to have a roux for it to be a gumbo, or can you build a gumbo without a roux? I typically make a gumbo without a roux, and the gumbo that my friends had that were here, that they've asked for the recipe, was made without a roux. So I put the rest of that celery and that onion from when we made the broth in the pot, and I'm gonna put a whole tub of this Gidry's Creole mix, and then I'm just gonna brown it down. Now, here's the thing, if you don't use a roux, you definitely have to brown your vegetables very well. What I would normally be doing is utilizing raw chicken that I was gonna brown first. But since I've got some of my kids coming over that don't want the bones in their chicken, we cooked it down first and we're gonna just debone it now. It's a pretty simple process. They don't like all the skin in it. So I take all the skin as I'm going and pull it off and just debone the whole chicken. No bone, no cartilage left. Get all the bone. There's even, or all the meat that's even on the backbone and everywhere else on this chicken. We get it all off. Nothing here is going to go to waste. So I let these onions and celery and whatnot, they've been browning without having been stirred for probably 4 to 5 minutes. And the reason I did that is I am going to let these become very brown. I want to have them brown. It's not a it's not just a wilting that you're doing. It's not just a sweating. If you don't hear this searing going on, your flame is not high enough, your heat is not high enough. You've got to let these vegetables sit. You've got to let them cook. And for a gumbo, you definitely want your vegetables to be nice and brown. So about midway through the vegetables browning, I add all of my smoked sausage. So the smoked sausage will release some fat in here and it's going to help to brown these vegetables. We're going to get these vegetables good and brown though. We're not going to put any fluid in here until these vegetables are nice and brown. Okay, so everything is brown with the vegetables and whatnot for the gumbo. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of the Marsh's tomato seasoning. Now, I know that seems like a lot, and it really is quite a bit, but this is going to be a pretty large gumbo, so it does need quite a bit of seasoning. Now we're just going to add water to it. We're going to let it cook for about 30 minutes. We'll add the chicken to it, let it cook for about another 30 minutes, and then this gumbo will be done. This is a very super fast and easy gumbo. I hope the good friend of mine that called and asked for the recipe, by the way, his name's Paul Milam. I hope he sees this and takes advantage of it. So the gumbo cooked for a total of about 3 hours, I guess. At the end of it cooking, I put it on a low simmer and I added gumbo filet, which I know may not be easy for some of you folks to find. If you can't find it, you can contact us and we can get it to you. I did also add a little bit of roux to it that I made. I added that on the side just because
You know, if not, everybody in Louisiana is going to disown me. But for you, Paul Milam, you don't have to add that roux. Here's your gumbo. Absolutely delicious dish. Everybody will love this.